Hi, my name's Kathy Skipper. I'm a menopause midwife, which means I accompany women as they birth a new version of themselves as they go through perimenopause. Welcome to my channel, The Alchemy of Menopause. And in this video, I'm going to explore a very important subject, which is menopause and sexuality. So, on one side of things, we'll hear a lot of conversation. I think it's a common myth that women are no longer sexual, they don't want to have sex, they lose interest in sex during menopause. And this actually is another one of those reasons why many women dread getting to the menopausal stage in their lives. And it's also sort of adds to this pile of negative reasons why menopause is like a disease. It's full of decline, it's the end of something, we're worn out, no more sex, no more sensuality, all these symptoms. So I want to really sort of debunk that. I don't think it's helpful. I don't think it really is a good way into the conversation. And also, many women do express a renewed sexual liberation after menopause, since they no longer have to worry about getting pregnant. Their children are older, they need less time and attention. So women have more time for their own sexuality, for their own creativity, which is very much connected to our sexuality. And we have more experience with age. We're often less inhibited about fulfilling our sexual needs. And as we go through menopause and become more aligned with ourselves, then we're more and more skillful in our relationships and ability to communicate. That might not always be taken well, but it's important that we're authentic and true to ourselves, which is really the journey of a main theme in the journey of menopause. And post-menopause, when we've been through the initiation, which can, as I always say, take between 2 to 10 years, depending on the woman, we can enter a time where we can enjoy our experience, we can experiment more, we can really come from this authentic place that we've worked so hard to get to during the perimenopausal period. We can let go of being preoccupied with our own orgasm or making sure our partner orgasms. That doesn't have to be the goal of sex anymore. We can drop into something new, something we've never tried before, something more intimate. Intimacy isn't the sexual act. Intimacy is something much, much more. And I think as we get more intimate with ourselves, going through a depth psychology approach to menopause, then we want to be more intimate in our relationships, more authentic in our relationships. In fact, if we allow it and we're open to it and we want it, we may discover a whole new world of being intimate, of sharing with others these pleasurable experiences, of enjoying our body and embodying our sexuality, not in ways that we feel we should, not in ways that we feel, we've been taught through generations that women should turn up in a certain way. No, in authentic ways that suit us. On a physical level, actually just physical level, sexuality is also very health enhancing. So, on the mainstream, there's all these things about what happens to women during menopause, all these symptoms and all these treatments. Well, maybe one treatment is learning to love ourselves more physically, embody ourselves, and then discover new ways of being sexual, because sexuality actually increases blood flow to the vagina. It exercises the muscles of the vagina and the pelvic floor. It strengthens the pelvic floor muscles, which helps prevent any incontinence. And experiencing arousal and orgasm also help to preserve the vagina's elasticity and its lubrication. Lubrication is an important aspect. Many women complain that they feel much drier during menopause and post-menopause, and that's due to the hormonal changes. We often make less of the lubricating fluids that keep us wet during arousal. And this can actually turn into unarousal, but it's easily remediated. All we have to do is make a nice oil, get some sunflower oil, organic sunflower oil, or jojoba oil, or some coconut oil, add some gentle essential oils like jasmine and tuberose, which are very sensual anyway, and have it by the bed, or have it where you're going to have sex, and just put it on before. And that can be part of the sensual intimacy. So, you know, if it hurts or you're dry, there are remedies for this. And in fact, in my book, I have a free workbook, 180-page workbook. If you go to menopausealchemy.com, it's on the homepage. You just scroll down to the bottom, and in there you'll find there are some recipes for making your own lubricants. What I think here, just at this pause point in the video, is that we need to be very careful that we don't reduce women's sexuality again to this pile of symptoms, this language that includes words such as decline, atrophy, lack, end of. Let's stop doing that. It's not helpful, and it, you know, really is not where we should be heading with this conversation. The fact of the matter is, this conversation can go much deeper. So if the part of the menopausal journey, or at the heart of the menopausal journey, it's really about learning to deeply love and honor ourselves, love and honor our desires, love and honor our bodies. You know, in the same way as we change drastically during puberty, and at puberty, we all started to explore our changing bodies in new ways. And we had a new approach to them, and our sensuality and sexuality was triggered. We can do this at menopause. Our bodies are changing, and we can explore them in new ways. We may find a more exciting, more empowering, more beautifully authentic journey ahead of us than the mainstream is telling us. However, let's stop here for a moment again. Menopause is the time when we do deep inner healing. Those things that we've sort of packaged away and put in the underground or in the unconscious will start to come up to be healed. That's why a lot of women have more emotions coming up during menopause. I've talked about that in other videos. It's a time when what hasn't yet been dealt with reveals itself, so that it can be finally processed and integrated, and we become more whole, and it's not controlling us anymore. So in terms of our physical bodies and our sexuality, this can be a period of finally acknowledging and healing past sexual abuses, sexual traumas, which means that there can be, you know, to approach this part of ourselves, to allow these things to come through, we have to honor the fact that we need a safe container, because it can be frightening and painful. However, it is a very necessary part of the journey. And not all women experience sexual abuse in their lives. However, many women experience or have experienced a sex life that is far from satisfying. They may not have felt a real true connection with their partners, and they have shut down because of that. They may feel that they are just performing what they feel they should do, but it's difficult to access this true authentic part of themselves. They may sort of sense that there's much more to sexuality, but they don't know how to get there, and maybe their partner just, you know, always does the same thing, and they've got into some kind of routine. And they may make either a conscious, and sometimes it's an unconscious decision, to stop desiring. In a way, it's easier to stop desiring than to continue to put up with something that's not honouring those deep needs and that offers really no true connection. It's very, very difficult and painful for a woman to not be seen or met intimately. So if she's just, you know, wham, bam, thank you, man, excuse me for the sort of language, but if it's just become that, or just a process that's always the same, then there isn't really any true intimacy. It's just a sexual act, and a woman isn't seen or beheld, and that is really painful. So she will have a tendency to say, oh, I'd rather not have sex than have to do that. And that's normal. Doesn't mean there's something wrong with the woman. And what I've noticed working with hundreds of women going through perimenopause is this deep relationship between a woman's sexuality and her spirituality starts to be felt more intensely during the maturation stage of menopause. So what does that mean? As menopause is, in part, a very spiritual journey, if we allow it to be, if we're well guided. And our sensuality and our sexuality and our spirituality are all very, very much entwined when we're close to our souls. And So that means we don't want to just go into something that isn't soulful or spiritual. We need that deep connection. As we need that deeper connection with ourselves, we need it with whoever we're entering into a sexual, sensual moment with. In my own journey, I know when I got to menopause or perimenopause, and I was working through a lot of stuff, I got to a real crossroads in my life. I made a commitment to myself, and I'll read you what I wrote in my diary. I am committed to being a woman who enters into authentic communion with her partner, a woman who knows the road to pleasure, who can share her whole self on her own terms. I am learning to lead the way, to think of myself. This may sound selfish, but this is the strength and power of the mature woman. So what I meant by this is that I had spent my life trying to turn up in these intimate relationships. For one, I was dissociated in intimacy, so I wasn't really embodied. For two, I was terrified of intimacy, so I didn't really know how to authentically turn up. I didn't know how to authentically turn up. I had abuse in my life, and so had the women whose shoulders I was standing on, so there was all that coming up. And I just couldn't. What I did actually sexually is I would try and give whatever I thought the person wanted. So I sort of sacrificed myself. And at menopause, that's what I said: never again. I will never, ever do anything sexually or sensually that I don't want to do. That's it. And that was huge for me. And it takes a certain type of partner to appreciate and want to be a woman with a woman who has made this commitment to herself. Of course it does. Someone who knows that they have to step up and grow too. You know, if a woman's growing in her sensuality, then her partner, who may have always been in a certain relationship with her, will have to change too. And some partners may not want to. So that's why some men at this stage in a woman's development might go off with a younger woman. They want to go back, or they want to stay in what they know. And I would say, still honor yourself. Don't go back just to keep a man. And so, you know, this is a really, really crux and important moment. The other thing that I noticed, and this is very intimate when I made that commitment to myself, is that if I was going to turn up in bed fully myself, then I had to get out of my head. It's my body and my soul that was turning up, my emotional self, my soulful self, my body self. I couldn't think, oh, what needs to be done? And when I did that, actually I had to let my body lead the way. And at first, my body really released a lot of trauma. It wasn't very sexual, sensual in one sense for my partner, because I was releasing a lot of trauma and he was holding space. But this became a sort of the boundary. After I'd released the trauma, I could go to a place where I felt safe and I could be intimate. I'll talk more about that in another video. It's a big subject. So in a way, what I'm trying to say is there's no separation between body and soul. When we make love, it is a soulful experience, and it should feed our soul as much as pleasure the body. And this is really what I think women need to work through in their perimenopausal journey. What has prevented them from being authentic? What are the stories of the women that they've inherited that they're living through? I lived through a lot of the stories of, you know, woman needs a man, so she has to be what a man wants her to be, etc., etc. All this is great material to work through during perimenopause. And don't forget, a conscious mature woman's beauty is inside her. It is her wisdom and strength. That's a woman's beauty as she matures. It's not her external self. It's not her breasts. It's not her butt. It's not her ability in bed to do whatever, you know, is expected of her. It's her wisdom and strength that becomes her beauty. So we need to love our bodies, our souls. We need to listen to ourselves, honor ourselves, and let this deep soulful part of ourselves lead the way. And, you know, this is the priority, listening to our desires and our needs for sensual expression and our needs for how we want to turn up and share. That's the priority, nothing else. And a lot of this journey really is on our own before we can get to that point. And I know in my own journey and with the women I work with, there's a lot of tending to our own needs, listening to our bodies, loving our bodies, being grateful for our bodies, treating our bodies with love and care and attention, pleasuring ourselves. The other point that's important, and this is really where society has done us a misjustice, or does a misjustice to the older women, is that society has made an amalgam of a woman's sexual prowess and her youthfulness. So, women have to turn up sexy, youthful, and that's their strength, that's their power, and that's it. And so women who turn up authentically themselves and mature and with experience often feel they don't, they're losing this attractiveness that society wants, this youthfulness. That's why there's such a, explosion of women doing all sorts of fillers and facial things and butt changes. That's society telling women that that's how they should turn up. So really what we're looking for is a coming home and a deep intimacy with ourselves. It all comes from this deeper inner intimacy with ourselves. So we need to listen and honor to ourselves and not worry about what other people think. If we love ourselves and trust ourselves and really embody ourselves, then those people who are superficial, who want us to turn up in a way that isn't honoring ourselves, they'll fall away and we won't want to be with them. So, the other point, sorry, I'm looking at my notes because I don't want to forget anything. The other point is that, yes, if sexuality isn't doing it for you at the moment, or if you don't have a partner and you don't want any old partner, because that's another thing, committing, if you haven't got a partner, as we go through perimenopause, we realize we must commit to a partner that really suits us and can hold space for us and honor us, or no partner at all. It's better not to have a partner than have the wrong one. But as I said earlier in the video, creativity is a huge connection, has a huge connection with our sexuality. So we can channel our sexual energy into creative projects that become, again, an authentic expression of who we really are. In our creativity, and the same in our sexuality, we don't have to think about what others are going to say or what others are going to think about what we're producing. We'll learn to create from the same place as we learn to turn up sexually and sensually, from this embodied, soulful place. And we'll feel what needs to be expressed, not what we want to express in our head or what we think we should express or what we think people want us to express, but it's something that needs to come through from this deep, sensual place, deep in our inner womb space, in a way. Okay, so what else? Anything else? I spoke about oils. Oils that are really good, essential oils that are really good for, helping us connect with this sensual part of ourselves are things like tuberose, which was actually prohibited in Victorian England because it is so sensual. They thought that it made women orgasm. And I use it a lot sensually. It really does open us up and liberate that energy. So tuberose, jasmine, ylang ylang is an aphrodisiac. And these are all very relaxing and sensual and toning, and they boost libido. So I just got 3 little exercises that I wanted to end with that might be helpful. So exercise 1, in your journal, write about your sexual journey since puberty. So take some time, can do it over a period of a few months. Really start at the beginning of your sexual journey when you were young and look at the high moments, the low moments, the moments of healing connection, the traumatic experiences, and also look at the patterns related to sexuality in your female family lineage. So you look at how your mother approached sexuality, your grandmother. Are there any patterns? Like I said, in my mother line, the big pattern was we had to sort of sacrifice ourselves to the masculine because we needed them to survive financially. I'm the first one in my lineage not to be born in India. So when you're in a mixed race community in India and you're a woman, you need a man. And so that energy came through in patterns of behavior. So look at all that. That's the first exercise. Exercise 2, write an open letter to your partner, or if you don't have a partner, write it to maybe a future partner if you'd like a partner, or to your inner masculine who's going to help you become a creative person. We'll look at the inner masculine in other videos. And this isn't a letter you're going to send, it's just for you. And the letter should be a series of sentences that begin with "I desire." Be totally honest and reflect deeply about what you desire as a sexual connection or a sensual connection or a creative connection in your life now. So I desire a man who can hold space for me to turn up totally authentically in whatever way, that nothing will be embarrassing. For example, that's one desire. And write the list until you've run out of things that you want to say. And the final exercise, exercise 3, journal about or use another medium of your choice. It could be collage, photos, painting, dancing, music, any medium you like, poetry, to express your thoughts and feelings about the sacredness of women's sexuality. So basically, these 3 exercises are starting to show you ways you can go deeper to explore this beautifully amazing part of being a human. And so instead of listening to the mainstream and all this language around decline and atrophy and dryness, and use this time to really explore your desires, your sensuality, your sexuality, your creativity. I hope that's helpful. If you like these videos, please subscribe to my channel. And if you have anything to share, I will answer any of the questions down below. And if you want that PDF I mentioned, go to menopausealchemy.com and you'll find it at the bottom of the homepage. Lots of love.